be careful when you enter Big Sky Country. You might just encounter some big mysteries. Ghosts are supposedly the essence of a person who has lived on this earth and still remains tethered to our world. However, a demon appears to be an entity that has never been human and stalks humans for their own purposes. Today I have two stories, one about a demon and one about ghosts. I hope you enjoy both. I wanted to say thank you to all my subscribers, my new subscribers, and all of you listening, perhaps for the first time. Thank you for joining me to listen to these scary stories. If you like these terrifying tales and have not done so already, please hit that subscribe button along with the notification bell so you make sure not to miss a single scare. Enjoy! The Thing I Saw the Day My Friend Died by sethraziel. This happened years ago, but it is still something that sticks with me. This all happened like a sequence. You never know if things are supposed to happen for a reason, or if some unknown outside force influences it. But first, backstory. My friend, let's call her Jenny, was a cheery, happy-go-lucky young woman. She rode one of them crotch rocket bikes and loved riding it. Always up for new and exciting things, she took a job as a security guard for a casino I worked at. She was always that ray of sunshine that would bring you up if you were having a bad day. Even when she was feeling down, she always made it a point to make sure you were feeling better. After a year, she was promoted to a gaming officer. She was really happy as this was an entry point to get into the upstairs offices. She would tell me often that if she got in, she would try to get me in with her. I worked on the floor, paying out jackpots and getting change for gamers. Not long after her promotion, she started acting funny. Not so much that people noticed it right away, but enough that I noticed it. She would come to work tired or come late, but never said why. I noticed her attitude change as well. She was more jumpy and cautious than normal. One time during a conversation we were having on the floor, she stopped and just, as I first thought, stared at me. I realized after a little bit that she wasn't staring at me, but behind me. I turned but saw nothing. She seemed to snap out of it after a bit and brushed it off as losing her track of thought. I never questioned it at the time. One day, she came in 2 hours late. Her superior wasn't too happy. He had actually sought me out on the floor to see if I could get a hold of her. When she did come in, she looked worse for wear. She was unkempt, baggy red eyes, and jittery. When questioned by her superior, she put it as a late night out. When she came to the floor, she pulled me aside and asked to meet up after work. We met at Denny's and she proceeded to tell me what was going on. She, as she put it, was having weird crap happen to her. It started subtly at first. A chill here, a noise there. Nothing she couldn't explain away. But as time progressed, things got weirder. The chills got colder. The noises got louder and more frequent. Things were never where she left them. Then it started happening at work. Her desk was always rearranged from how she left it. She thought that someone was messing with her, even voicing her concern, but nobody ever came forward. When she was walking the floor, she would feel a tap on her shoulder or a tug on her shirt, with nobody around. When she would walk to her office, which was located near the uniform room in a less trafficked area of the building, she always heard footsteps in line with hers, as if somebody was walking right behind her. She was afraid to use the restrooms as well if no one was with her. It was there one day, she said, she got scared real bad. Answering the call of nature, she had just begun when she said there was a single light knock on the stall door. She had announced herself in the stall when someone knocked again, this time 2 of them, louder than the first. She had said she was using it and to use another when the door began to rattle as if someone was jiggling the handle. Then it stopped. She said she was about to get up when, to her horror, the sliding lock began to slowly move, unlocking itself. Jenny said she flung the door open. No one was there. When she got out of the stall, no one was in there. She was about to walk out when, turning towards the stalls, she said she saw a dark mass, humanoid looking, peeking out behind the furthest stall. She said she had seen it often since. The day she was really late, she said she was awoken from her sleep. It was night, her room was dark, and she couldn't speak nor move. She tried to, she told me, but couldn't. She had a dreaded feeling like she wasn't alone. The only thing she could move was her eyes, she recalled, and she happened to look up with them, seeing this humanoid mass looking right down at her. A faint glow where eyes would be. She said she closed her eyes and was able to scream, finally gaining control of her body. She jumped out of bed and tried to turn on the light near her bed, but it wouldn't work. The mass then started to come towards her, blocking her bedroom door. She said she ran into the closet and shut it. The light in the closet worked. She said she was afraid of opening the door. She heard it moving around the room. She fell asleep in there, not waking till late in the morning, got quickly dressed and came in, hence her appearance. The last week of her life, she stayed with me. Despite the odd occurrences at work, nothing ever happened at my place. She was peaceful. She was sleeping and eating again, and on her days off, she reported nothing happening. The day she died was one of the strangest and scariest days of my life. It started with me going in like normal. I came in at 8 and Jenny came in an hour later. Things were pretty normal, and at 12 we went to lunch. During lunch, she told me she was going to go back to her place. The last week was pretty good, and she hoped that whatever it was had finally left her alone. After that, we went back to our posts. About half hour after lunch, my supervisor calls me in the office and says one of the swing shift people called out and asked if I could pull a double. If I agreed, I could take the next day off or come in and get the overtime, so I agreed. At around the same time, Jenny was asked to stay a few hours more as one of her coworkers had suddenly gotten ill in the stomach and had to go, so she agreed. After that, I got the strangest feeling like I was being watched. Couldn't explain it. I just felt someone was staring at me in empty parts of the floor. Jenny told me she started to feel like a weight was being lifted off her, but she also felt like I was in trouble somehow. She said something in the back of her head said that someone was mad at me, like they hated me. But she didn't know who, nor could she explain why it was that specific feeling. My second shift started and her extra hours started like this. Some of my coworkers reported feeling uneasy around me, while Jenny's said that she was becoming like her old self again. When Jenny was getting ready to end her shift at 11 in the evening that night, I took my final break to say goodbye, as I was getting out an hour after her. She said she felt free in what seemed like forever. She wanted to enjoy her ride home. She said she would text me when she made it. We hugged, and I saw her off for what would be the last time. Needing to go back on the floor, I had the call of nature beckoning me, but decided I could hold it. Or so I thought. As I was making my rounds, that urge came at me strong, literally forcing me to make a mad rush to the employee restroom. I ran in and got the nearest urinal, relieved. I washed my hands and started to leave when a light, soft knock came from the direction of the stalls. There, peeking out from the farthest stall, was a black mass, humanoid looking with a soft glow where the eyes should be. I blinked and it was gone. I stood frozen there, literally trying to rationalize if I saw something or not. I looked at the time on my phone. 20 minutes had passed since Jenny left. I looked up, and there it was again, only this time, I got this really bad feeling that something was wrong and I bolted out of there. That image was burned into my memory and has been ever since. I called Jenny, but it went to voicemail. I finished the rest of my shift with that dreaded feeling. After work, I went home and tried calling again. Voicemail. I left her a message to get back at me ASAP. That feeling stayed with me till I fell asleep. My sister broke the news to me that morning. Her boyfriend was an EMT that responded to an accident call. He, Jenny, and I, as well as my sister, had all gone to high school together. Being the one that took the call, he was shocked to find her off the road, about 40 feet to be exact, dead, with a broken neck. She had hit the safeguard, this metal piece that curved with the road. He thought it weird that she would have landed 40 feet away, seeing that the speed limit at the turn was only 20, and that later it was determined that she hit it going 10 miles an hour. No alcohol nor drugs were found in her system, so they thought that she had probably fell asleep, and when she hit, she landed neck first and slid to a halt. Though I was later told by my sister's boyfriend that when he got there, he didn't see anything that looked like she had slid. The ground he remembered was undisturbed. This has haunted me for a while now. A few weeks ago, I dreamt Jenny was talking to me. I couldn't hear her, and she had this blank, almost emotionless expression. She then points behind me, and there it is. The thing I saw the day my friend died. I am by no means an artist or a painter. Hell, I can hardly draw. But after that dream, I tried to depict what I saw in that restroom all those years ago. This is the closest I've gotten to it. One more thing I forgot to mention. When the time of death was given, it was around 11:20 p.m., about the same time I saw that thing. Update. It has been years since I've been in that casino. I recently went back to my hometown where it's located and caught up with old friends who still work there. Apparently, that thing is following another friend of mine like it did Jenny. My friend suffered a nervous breakdown during his shift. The girl I spoke to said he was acting weirder than normal, culminating in his screaming and ranting about the shadow that won't leave him alone. Only a close few people know about what Jenny went through and what I experienced, and the girl I spoke to was one of them. She mentioned that other things have been happening. My brother, who started security there a few years ago, mentioned something creepy he once witnessed. The security team usually have a driver who drives around the property to make sure the parking areas and back part of the casino is safe. Behind the casino are these dumpster areas that the food and beverage and custodial teams use. Well, my brother tells me that one night he went on break. There is a patio area outside that employees use to sit outside or to smoke. There is a wall around it, but on the other side is the dumpsters. He goes to the patio with one of the food and beverage girls to smoke. During this time, they hear faint crying. At the same time, over his radio, he hears the truck driver calling in a female he spots crying in the corner of the dumpsters. He says the driver describes her as short, long dark hair, blue sweater, and jeans with no shoes on. She's crouched in the corner back to him, sobbing, as he said, loud. My brother, of course, being on the opposite side of the wall, can barely hear crying. Well, he then says the driver calls it into surveillance. There are 2 cameras that point in that direction, one seeing that particular corner very well. After he calls it in, surveillance gets back to him asking what he's talking about. This is how he put it. Surveillance. What are you calling in again? Driver. A female. In the corner of the dumpsters crying. She's not responding to my calls. Surveillance. Okay, we see you, we don't see a girl. Driver. What do you mean? She's right there in front of me. Surveillance. No, sir. All we see is you, no one else. Driver. Are you serious? You really don't see the girl right here? Surveillance. No, sir. If you are joking, then it's a bad one, not to mention a waste of our time. That's about the time my brother says the crying stopped, followed by a shriek from the driver and him burning rubber out of there. My brother went on to say that the driver was visibly shaken and trembling. When pressed by his supervisor about what happened, he related that after surveillance said she wasn't there, she stopped crying and stood up, her hair falling back like it had no neck bones. And then started walking towards him, but backwards, with her head dangling side to side. He shrieked and got out of there. What was disturbing as well to my brother was that later, the driver said that when her head fell back, it had no face. I must say some creepy crap is going on there. I wonder though, the way he described the girl, I wonder if it was Jenny. Even though she didn't die at the casino, I wonder if that thing is keeping her trapped there. Apartment 208 and Old Mom by Vipdad. In 2013, I moved into an apartment in Alma, Arkansas. I'm not sure if this had anything to do with it, but the apartment complex was right next to a very old graveyard. A little history on this apartment complex. I had lived there 3 times before in 2003, 2006, and 2009. All 3 times, I got the same 1-bedroom apartment, number 208. It was the only 1-bedroom available. Each time, I would have strange things happen there. The first time, cabinets would open, things would be in different places, and sometimes when I'd take a shower and close my eyes, I'd see the bathroom and shower covered in blood, and blood coming out of the shower. I'd open my eyes and it would all be normal. The first time I lived there, that stuff intrigued me. I only moved out to move in with my girlfriend. Alma has very few options for apartments, and in 2006, when my girlfriend and I split up, I had to go back to the same apartment complex, and lo and behold, the exact same day I split with my girlfriend, the people living in 208 moved suddenly, and for the second time, I got the same apartment as the first time. It seemed a little weird, but I just wrote it off as coincidence. This time around, things were worse. I'd hear movement in my walk-in closet and living room at night. The shower visions were more intense, and also, this was the year that the Laughing Children incident happened to me. And also, I was living here when the sleep paralysis began a few months after the Laughing Children. My first sleep paralysis episode was terrifying. I was laying asleep next to my new girlfriend, and about 1 a.m., I heard the DVD rack in the living room fall, and a lot of DVDs crashing to the floor. I was still half asleep when I looked towards my bedroom door, which I kept shut, and on this night, I had accidentally left my bathroom light on, and I could see the light under my door, but as I turned my head to the direction of the noise and was about to holler, "Who's there?" I heard running footsteps like a kid. Then I saw the shadow of feet at the base of my bedroom door in the bathroom light. Then I saw the feet shadow go from being on the other side of my door to being on my side of the door. No filler shadow, just the feet. And in a blink of an eye, they moved from the door to my chest and disappeared. This all happened so fast, I hadn't been able to move or speak, but after seeing the shadow feet on my chest, I went to shake my girlfriend awake, but I couldn't move my arms. So I went to say her name, but I couldn't speak. So in a panic, I tried to sit up, but couldn't move at all. My eyes began to get heavy, and in a second, I was dreaming of a shadow holding me down, covering my mouth. I fought and widened my eyes, and it was still there. I am finally able to make a noise, but it's just a raspy, pitiful help that is barely a whisper, and I am able to slightly move my finger and touch my girlfriend. It's enough, and she opens her eyes and asks me what's wrong. I let out my pitiful help again as I widen my eyes in fear at my chest. My girlfriend starts shaking me, and when I don't respond, she slaps me. In an instant, the shadow is gone, and I'm awake, able to move. My girlfriend says she never heard the DVDs crashing and didn't see the shadow. The DVDs were all still on the rack when I go to check the living room. My girlfriend witnessed and pulled me out of 3 more sleep paralysis episodes over the next few months before leaving me because it all freaked her out so bad. And then I moved out. Fast forward to 2009. I had married in 2007 and had a son that same year and a daughter in 2009, but my wife and I split, and I needed a place to stay, and once again, I go back to the same apartment complex. I couldn't afford anything better. Once again, for the 3rd time, the only apartment is 208. But I don't want to be homeless, so I asked the landlord if I move into 208, can it be temporary, and if another apartment opens up, can he let me take it? He says yes, and I move in. But after 2 weeks of bloody visions, noises, and 2 more sleep paralysis episodes, I move out and stay with my family. My wife and I get back together, but in 2013 we split for good, and I get split custody and need a local place to live. And because this time I need a 2-bedroom apartment, and knowing there is no chance of getting 208 because it's a 1-bedroom, I go back to the complex and end up getting 210, which is right next to 208. The even number apartments are on 2nd floor and odd on bottom. 210 was the only available 2-bedroom apartment, so I take it and tell myself at least it's not 208. Nothing happens here at first, and my kids and I really make it our home, and then it begins. One night I am in my room and it's 2:30 in the morning, and I hear my kids banging toys around and giggling in their room, and I hear their TV come on and it wakes me up. Irritated, I call out, "You guys are supposed to be asleep. Don't make me ground you." The banging and giggling stop, but I still hear the TV going, and I get up and walk to their shut door, still half asleep, and say, "Okay, kiddos, I told you to go back to..." As I begin opening their door, it occurs to me that my kids are at their mom's. I had taken them back to her the evening before. A chill runs down my body as I slowly push the door open to see toys strewn all over and a cartoon playing on TV. I turn the lights on, unplug the TV, then bolt to the living room, shutting their door behind me. I turn all the lights on in the apartment and sit up, on edge all night. Nothing else like this happens, but the next week while my kids were there, I'd catch my 3-year-old daughter talking to somebody when my 6-year-old son wasn't around. So I asked her who she was talking to, and she replied, "My friend, old mom. Her kids got burned up, so she is nice to me because I look like her little girl." My daughter said this word for word, and usually she couldn't talk that plain. I immediately call her mom and ask what she's been watching over there, but her mom says just her cartoons. I, once again, got a chill down my entire body. My son never saw what Alexis saw. Over the next few months, my little girl continues to talk to and about Old Mom, sometimes even pointing behind me, telling me Old Mom is there watching me to make sure I'm a good daddy. Very creepy. Over the past few years, my little girl has gotten to like spooky stuff and is fascinated with scary shows and movies. But at this time, she was only 3 and had never seen scary stuff, so I was really concerned and had a hard time sleeping. Then, one night, I was reading a kid's book called The Monster in My Closet to my kids. They lay in bed and I was sitting in a chair next to the bed. At the end of the book is a page that says for the kid reading it to draw the monster in their closet. This gave me an idea. I told my daughter to draw Old Mom for me. She sits up, I give her a pencil and the book, and she says, "Can you move, Daddy? She's behind you and I can't see her." I scoot away a little and my little girl looks in the direction where I sat before, then looks down, draws a little, looks up again, then draws some more and continues to do this until she finishes. She hands me the picture. I look at it and I begin to tremble and my heart races. That weekend, we moved to an apartment in the next town over. Some might say it was her imagination and she just made up the drawing. But she was 3, and I believe if she made it up, she wouldn't have taken her eyes off the paper as she drew. But she kept looking up as she drew and tells me she was looking at Old Mom while drawing her. If you ever get to see the picture she drew, you would know why I moved after seeing that drawing. Thanks again for joining me for these demon and ghost stories. If you enjoyed this episode, please hit that subscribe button and the notification bell to know when the latest horror is available. Want to hear your true or fictional scary story narrated by me on this channel? Send your story to bigskymysteries@gmail.com or check the description below for more details. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in your nightmares. Good night.